Warren versus Hegseth, $14.3 million, Pentagon. In just 47 seconds, 4 financial documents raised questions that defined Washington's most watched accountability hearing of 2025. Senator Elizabeth Warren had prepared. Secretary Pete Hegseth had prepared. What separated them was what they had prepared for. April 29th, 2025, 10:17 a.m., Senate Armed Services Committee, Dirksen Building. The chamber held the charged quiet of a session with real stakes. Every major network had positioned cameras before dawn. Veteran congressional observers told their producers something about this morning felt different. Within 47 minutes, they would understand why. Hegseth entered with composed authority. Tailored charcoal suit, American flag pin, leather briefcase. His team of advisors and legal specialists filed in behind him, briefed on 12 different lines of inquiry. None of them had been briefed on the Inspector General audit sitting in Warren's folder. Warren took her seat with the focused stillness of someone who had traced every dollar in a financial record to its final destination. 3 months. 10,000 pages of documentation, 40 of those pages on the table this morning. Chairman Jack Reed called the session to order. Procedural language, non-procedural implications. Hegseth delivered a prepared statement on defense transformation and contracting reform. Warren let him finish. She had heard versions of it before. She had also spent those same months following where the contracting dollars had gone. Secretary Hegseth, I want to examine a specific contracting entity, the Pacific Strategic Solutions Group. Hegseth's pen paused almost imperceptibly over his notepad. Warren's team had been watching for exactly that micro-expression. This company was incorporated in Wyoming on January 16, 2025. 4 days after your Senate confirmation as Secretary of Defense. Corporate filings list 2 principals, Marcus Hegseth, your brother, and Jennifer Torres, your associate's spouse. Its first federal payment arrived February 3rd, $2.8 million from the Pentagon's Operational Readiness Enhancement Fund. The chamber absorbed this in the particular silence that precedes institutional shifts. Committee members on both sides leaned forward. Senator, all contracting decisions proceed through proper procurement processes with full compliance oversight. Any suggestion of impropriety misunderstands how federal contracting actually works. Warren produced the Inspector General's preliminary audit, dated April 12th. According to this IG report, Pacific Strategic Solutions received 3 no-bid contracts totaling $14.3 million. The IG found no classified operational components in any deliverable. All 3 contracts appear to have been awarded outside standard competitive requirements, without legally sufficient justification. How does that align with the contracting reform narrative you've been presenting? No bid. Contracting in operationally sensitive contexts follows well-established legal procedures. The Secretary of Defense has broad statutory authority to designate certain procurements as sensitive to protect national security equities. That authority requires written justification at the time of award. Warren produced the filings. Each of these 3 justifications is a single paragraph referencing strategic communication enhancement objectives. What did Pacific Strategic Solutions actually deliver for $14.3 million? Hegseth reached for his water glass. The familiar gesture of someone buying processing time, while cameras record every frame. Contracted deliverables in this category are covered under the Operational Sensitivity designation, which precludes open discussion. Warren held up a document bearing a red declassification stamp. This committee declassified the company's work product summary last Thursday. Total deliverables: 4 internal presentations on digital communication strategy, 2 written assessments of social media engagement patterns, and 1 3-day training workshop. That is the complete, documented output of $14.3 million in no-bid contracts, Secretary. But the documentation becomes more significant from here. This is a message chain from the Pentagon's internal secure communications platform, dated January 30th, 2025, 2 weeks before the first contract was awarded. Account Sec Def. 1 to account Marcus H. 11:43 p.m. The Pacific structure is in place. First contracts move before end of February. Keep the filings at standard sensitivity. Legal advises the IG does not audit no-bid contracts under $5 million individually, only in aggregate after 18 months. 3 separate contracts stay under the radar, structured specifically to remain below individual audit thresholds. The phrase carried its own documented weight. The IG review today was not triggered by a routine audit, Warren continued. It was triggered by a referral from contracting officer David Andrews, who raised concerns about these transactions with oversight authorities. Andrews was placed on administrative leave 2 days after this preliminary audit was issued. Would you like to address that timeline? For the first time in 47 minutes, Hegseth sat completely still. His legal team had stopped passing notes. His communications director had gone pale. This is a politically engineered hearing designed to undermine the most consequential defense transformation in a generation. While this committee manufactures controversy from internal communications, our strategic competitors are not standing still. Warren didn't raise her voice. Secretary Hegseth, I have the IG's own preliminary findings, your department's own declassified deliverable summary, your own internal communications, and the sworn statement of your own contracting officer. Which specific element of the documented record is factually incorrect? Senator Tammy Duckworth leaned into her microphone. Secretary Hegseth, I flew combat missions for this country. I lost my legs in service. 3 full seconds of silence that the room absorbed entirely. Don't use national security as a rhetorical shield when this committee is asking you where $14 million went. Hegseth sat back, hands flat on the table. Still, by afternoon, the hearing had generated bipartisan expressions of concern. Senator Susan Collins called for a thorough and independent review. Legal analysts across networks focused on the same phrase, stay under the radar, noting it raised questions extending considerably beyond routine contracting disputes. David Andrews' attorney confirmed his client was cooperating fully with the IG review and had come forward because he believed federal law required him to. That evening, the Pentagon confirmed Secretary Hegseth's cooperation with the ongoing Inspector General investigation and the initiation of an internal compliance audit covering all contracting designations since February 2025. It was not a resignation, but it was no longer the position of someone who believed the documents would remain unexamined. Sometimes accountability doesn't arrive with a court order. It arrives with a folder, a committee table, and someone who's spent 3 months following a paper trail to its end. What happens when institutional design meets systematic oversight? What happens when the documented record is longer than the talking points? Senator Warren offered one answer. The Inspector General's review would offer another. The contracting officer who came forward was already providing a third. The 47 minutes changed the terms of the conversation. The documents were only getting started. If government transparency matters to you, subscribe to our channel where documentation shapes the story, not the other way around. Hit the bell. The next investigation may concern the officials representing your district. What would you do with records like these? Drop a comment below. This dramatized story is inspired by public figures and publicly reported events. All dialogue and reconstructed incidents are fictionalized for educational and commentary purposes. This content explores themes of institutional oversight and financial accountability, and does not constitute factual reporting.